Okay, and we are live. Just a mic check. Mostly just a little bit of a mic check there for us. And then we're going to start with the analysis for today. Just want to check that the audio is all good. Alright guys, Tuesday, let's quickly jump into the analysis for today, starting off the DXY. Actually did the analysis yesterday, bullish on the week. Yesterday we were also bullish on the day, and looking at where we are today. Yesterday closing up against this prior area of resistance, and today, I'll just clear this out quickly. What can we expect today? Firstly, USD retail sales at 230. Actually expecting an increase, so that will be bullish for the dollar. Other than that, nothing major on the calendar for us. So DXY, yesterday almost filling these wicks to the upside. Not closing above this previous area of resistance, but we have already started pushing up on the day. And if I go down to my daily time frame, let's quickly jump on what we've got for the day. Again, closing bullish yesterday, moving quite a bit away from this previous area of resistance after having that massive downside wick and then pushing to the upside. And now we've got this prior area of resistance, which potentially, I'm thinking, if we can start flipping bullish on the day again, we can firstly fill this wick, and after that wick fill, depending on how we close today, either closing above that range or actually pushing up above these wicks to then reverse on the day, because we have not yet retested this previous area of resistance. So that is what I've got for DXY on the day. And just actually looking at our ranges for this morning. So currently trading at the Asia lows. If we start actually moving quite a bit away from these Asia lows and actually extend lower, that's going to show me that we are going to trade lower for the day, because we are also trading below the daily pivot. So ideally for bullish continuation, what I would want to see is I want to see us actually trading back into the Asia range, retest, and then continue higher back to the Asia highs. So currently pushing bearish. We'll see if we can hold on to those Asia lows. If not, then we are going to go bearish. Gold, let's quickly jump down to gold. Gold as well, mentioned on the weekly, closing below this previous area of support. Just mark that out. Gold weekly candle closing below that area of support. We still have this wick to the left hand side that we can fill. Also already breaking last week's low. And if we go down to a daily time frame, I just want to check here quickly. Daily quite interesting. We closed bearish up against these flat body supports. But again, we still have these wicks to fill to the downside. And ideally, I would have first liked for us to actually pull back a little bit more on the day before continuing lower. But if we go down to a 5-minute time frame, and let's just quickly frame our idea for bearish continuation. This is our Asia range overnight. And if we start trading below the Asia range, or even push up to the daily pivot level and reject closing back inside of the Asia range, then we can start looking for shorts. Only way today I would be looking for longs on gold is if we really get an expansion above the daily pivot, above all of the moving averages, and then a retest on the Asia highs to continue higher. Other than that, I am bearish on the day. Obviously, highest probability trade would be to trade from these Asia highs and from this pivot level. But if we get something like this pre-market and a retest and a failure to close back inside of the Asia range, we could actually target these 1900 levels. Quite a big, round, significant number on gold. GBP USD weekly as well. A little bit tricky on the weekly. Already broke weekly lows, already retested this prior area of support. As you can see, we've actually had multiple retests on this level and actually retested it again. So bearish on the weekly. Daily, yesterday closing bearish. However, we have this wick to the downside, so quite tricky on GBP USD. I wouldn't say it's the cleanest price action we've got, but again, jumping down to the 5 minute, let's quickly frame some ideas. Data came out quite strong this morning for the pound, and I would actually go out on a limb and say I'll be looking for longs this morning, purely due to the fact that we displaced above the Asia highs. 80 is also above the 200, and if we can hold Asia highs, this could be a potential trade for us. Asia highs, I wouldn't necessarily try and buy these highs or even buy up against this weekly pivot because we're still bearish. But I would like a buy, I would say closer to this 12700 area, potentially. Asia highs. Pound yen, absolutely on a tear. We actually discussed this in the office, with the weekly closing above this prior area of resistance, and just looking left on the weekly time frame, let's quickly look at potential areas that we can target. So clear target for me on the weekly would be 187, so that's about a 200 pip move. We've got range to move up to that level. Bullish on the week, going down to the daily time frame as well. This is my thing though with pound yen. We've had 6 days of straight continuation to the upside. This is almost, what is this, 450 pips. Even though we are bullish, it becomes quite tricky unless GJ is going to continue trending. But minimum, I would expect a retest of this level, 183, 80, 184, and then from there to continue higher. But trend is your friend. But let's see, let's quickly frame our idea for this morning, see if we can execute on anything. So we've got our Asia highs at 184.64, and then we've got our Asia lows at 184.36. So again, I'm quite bullish this morning on the pound pairs. I want to see what we do closer to the open, and I'll try and catch some buys from the Asia highs. USDs are bullish, weekly is bullish, daily is bullish. Yesterday closing as well up against this prior area of resistance. What also makes this quite tricky is if you look on the weekly, this was our previous swing high level, because from there we actually broke structure to the downside. So pivotal level today for us would be this round number 19. Currently some bearish pressure, but if we get a closure back above the daily pivot, something like this, I would consider longs. And also depending on how the spread is looking during that time, spread could be quite bad during the open. USD JPY obviously correlated to pound yen, bullish on the day, bullish on the week. And if you go down to a weekly time frame as well, you can see clean closures above that level, and actually a little bit cleaner than pound yen in terms of ranges that we can target. So 149 I would say on deck, unless anything dramatic happens like a BOJ intervention or any type of stealth FX intervention from the BOJ. But again, bullish on the day. However, again, 6 days of straight continuation to the upside. Where do we start retracing? But still, we're going to trade what we see and not what we think or what we consider needs to happen. Currently trading at the Asia highs. This is my Asia range, just for context. Obviously, our higher probability trades, if we are bullish, are from the Asia lows, and our higher probability sell areas are from the Asia highs if we are bearish. So already trading above the Asia highs lowers the probability for a bigger move. Actually just increases the risk in terms of your trade. Nasdaq, that was the other one that I was quite not confused about, but Nasdaq on the weekly and Dow Jones on the weekly actually diverging. So Dow Jones last week closing bullish and Nasdaq actually closing bearish. And I mentioned in yesterday's analysis as well, we've got this area of potential support, this little support cluster here. So I am bearish on the week to potentially come and retest this 14870 area. However, going on a daily, yesterday closing quite strong bullish. Also, if you can check this out right here, this was a previous area of support, and yesterday breaking back above that, also taking out Friday's high and closing bullish. So potentially what I'll be looking for today are buys. So daily bullish, daily bias is bullish. And if I just frame my idea, but I would say if we can get a pullback today, potentially up to this 150 area, and my AD is still bullish, as you can see it's starting to trend bullish, I would be looking for buys. Or even if we don't retrace that deep and we regain the Asia lows, I would consider buys on Nasdaq. US30 weekly bias is bullish. We still have that wick to fill. Unfortunate thing is we are in this range. This is a weekly range that we've got, and it can be really, really tough trading within this range, because we can trade for weeks within this range. But just going purely on my weekly bias that is bullish, and yesterday closing bearish, again a bit of a clusterfuck with Nasdaq. So Nasdaq closing bullish on the day yesterday, and we have Dow Jones closing bearish yesterday. So I would expect as a minimum, if this is potentially going to be our high of the week, even though we're bullish on the week, this could potentially be a high formation being formed, and we could potentially see this week trading outside of this range. Or what could happen is we've got this area of support down here. We could be creating a lower wick on the day to then go and break that structure, yesterday's high. Looking on the 5-minute time frame, yesterday we had quite a bit of movement around the weekly pivot. I actually waited for a trade around these levels, never got it. And now what we want to see is how we trade around this weekly pivot level, quite a key level. That's why you'll see we've been trading around this level from Monday. All of this price action around that weekly pivot. Also just a massive range from yesterday's low Bias currently, I'm leaning towards the long side. But let's see, even this morning, if we can get something like this, a manipulation move down, and then actually regaining the weekly pivot and the daily pivot. Very similar to what we had yesterday. Daily pivot and the weekly pivot sitting very close to one another. But for me, I want to see how we handle this daily pivot and this weekly pivot. I would potentially look for long opportunities from the weekly pivot, but not very clean. Not gonna lie. US 30 is not very clean. Okay, 15 minutes still open. I don't trade prior to the open, purely due to the fact that I've done my back testing. Most of my losses occur prior to the London Open. And also for the guys that are new on the stream, I wait 15 minutes after the open. If I miss the move, I miss it. But again, for the most part, most of my losses occurred between 8:30 and 15 minutes past 9. That is where most of my losses have occurred. And that is part of the back testing that you do. If you see you are taking losses during a certain period of day, or you're taking losses on a certain pair, cut it out. Eliminate the probability of a loss during that time. So I actually wait for the 15-minute shuffle. After that shuffle, I start looking for my executions. Keeks, you were looking for sells on gold or buys? Just want to check Keeks' mic. Check the mic quickly. Just gonna sort out Keeks' mic quickly. Keeks has got a bit of a pop on it. Also remember, guys, for the most part, either Tuesday, Wednesday is going to create the high or the low of the week. So Richard Lowry in the chat. How's it going, brother? Mic test for Keeks, mic test. Nah, it's still got a bit of a crackle and a pop. Okay, 10 minutes, 8 minutes till the open. Let's see if we can execute on anything. How's everyone doing? Give me your setups for this morning. What are your plays for today? USD ZAR's currently a pair that I'm back testing a bit. Only issue with USD ZAR, it's not a currency pair that's traded a lot, so the volume on it is quite low. Therefore the spreads aren't great, but definitely something that I'm looking into. It respects structure quite well. But as the streams go by, I will share all of my analysis on it, and potentially even if I take trades, even just looking now at the spreads, let's quickly jump down and see what the spreads are. Yeah, you can park a bus in between the bid and the ask, so gonna wait for the open, see if those spreads close, but definitely something that I'm looking into. Also, indices, I don't necessarily like trading indices during the London session, mainly due to the fact that you obviously have the FTSE, you've got the DAX, you've got CAC 40. So most of those indices will be traded during London. There's not going to be a lot going on the futures. And with that even being said, yesterday, after saying that on the stream, this was the move yesterday morning, 9:30. Actually had a nice little pop. What was this? 0.5%, 0.3, actually 0.36%, and then range from there. But not necessarily going to trade this during the London session. Plugged in. So for DXY, I think the battle point is going to be Asia lows. I am still bullish on the day. We still have that daily wick fill that we can do. I'm not necessarily going to try and sell against the dollar index today. So this could purely be our manipulation before we start the day, sweeping the Asia lows to trade back above it. So 5 minutes, let's see what the open does. I would like a nice spike to the downside and then closures back inside of the Asia range. And then from there we can frame the idea for the rest of our trades. So just going to mark out the Asia lows and Asia highs. Just a disclaimer for those guys that are on board. These streams are purely for entertainment and educational purposes. This should not be construed as financial advice. Please seek advice from your financial advisor before making any financial decisions. If you follow what I do, you will lose money. And you will lose money. So either take the opposite end of my trade. The mic is better. You can either take the opposite end of my trade, or if you want to lose money, follow my trades. But yeah, just a disclaimer in there so that there's no hard feelings. There are going to be wins, there are going to be losses. I just think as a trader you always need to manage your risk. Alright, 3 minutes and then we'll start locking it in for potential positions. Yeah, sorry Keeks, you were still saying before we had some technical issues there on gold. Yeah.
Depending if it goes long, I mean, we might get a bit of a dirty retest. Otherwise, I'll probably only start in looking at either going long when we can close above the Asia highs, or if we can actually maybe even get another retest of the Asia lows and it's been respected nicely, then I'll possibly look at it.
All right, it's open, guys. So let's go. Let's see what's happening. Now I'm just asking, like, is it clear, clean, the audio? Perfect. Sorry guys, we're just doing running checks here. Still the first week of the live stream, so we're honestly not gonna act like we know what we're doing in terms of live streaming. But I think we've got a bit of an idea in terms of what to do when it comes to trading. But DXY, Asia lows. Let's see what we do from these Asia lows. Gold as well, Asia lows. Pound USD obviously made that pop. I'm not going to try and sell it from there. And also not going to try and buy close to the session highs. Same with pound yen. Yeah, I'm not gonna try and do that. USDs are as well quite holding the Asia lows quite well. Only issue though is on the AD, the accumulation distribution. We don't really have any bullish pressure as of yet, so not really clean cut for me. I'll potentially consider Asia highs, showing me we're holding above the 19 level. And again, we'll start setting some alerts now on some of the pairs, but ideally we want to be trading from the Asia highs or lows. Yeah, also if you look at it, actually if you look at the 4-hour structure, so you had this 4-hour break and then see how we're starting to decelerate. So we've had almost 8 hours worth of price action within this tiny little range right here. So there is a probability that we can even just pop that 4-hour low to then flip bullish, but there's definitely deceleration on price. And what Keegan was also mentioning, if you look at what the 7-hour, 7 o'clock UTC plus 2 or GMT plus 2, the 7 o'clock 4-hour candle is usually opposite to where price is going to go. Like yesterday, for instance, we had this bullish 4-hour candle close, and then straight after that we actually broke lows and traded lower for the rest of the day. And if you look at it the previous day as well, this was on Friday, bullish 7 o'clock 4-hour close, traded lower from there. So these are just little nuances you pick up in the market, and it's not something that we base our entire trade idea off, but it is something that you can look at once you start framing your idea. But Asia lows are holding. Asia lows are holding quite well. DXY breaking structure to the downside, rejecting Asia lows again. Gonna wait for the 15-minute shuffle and then take it from there. Scalp Vantage from Bloombrew, busy with the Thunder challenge. Great, man. How's it going? Just start your challenge, or are you already in it? Morning Rika, morning Mo Skalensky. I actually wanted to do a funner challenge. Maybe I'll still will once we get the live streams up and going and running smoothly. Like I mentioned, we're not going to act like we know what we're doing when it comes to live streaming. We're still figuring a lot of things out on the fly, but we'll get there. We'll get it sorted. Keeks, did you execute long from those lows? I'm thinking this 1905 level, if we can hold that, for the most part, gold obviously moves between the $5 levels. So I would say if I was going to consider any longs on gold, this 1905 level, I would want that to hold. DXY also rejecting Asia lows, so Nila, how's it going, man? Yeah, so I've got my Asia range that I use is from 12. Actually, no, from 12 o'clock in the evening, South African time, up until 6 o'clock. And that is, so for me currently, it's below the Asia lows. Actually, closing below Asia lows. Also at this little structure break. So what we don't want to see, if we want to see DXY continuing bearish, after this 15-minute shuffle, we don't want to see something like this, because then obviously this was just the fake out, the manipulation before the actual move. But I am weirdly enough still bullish on this. I could be wrong, but that daily wick fill for me, that wick fill, but let's see. Also, if you look here, previous weeks, this was during June, we usually have like a spike of the daily highs before we reverse. So we haven't spiked those daily highs. That's why I could be wrong, but I am still relatively bullish on the DXY. Oh, really?
in August. So out of the last 23 years, we found that 15 of the years the dollar has gained. So again, like that's just a little bit of more fundamental analysis, but it does in a theory that the dollar will still rise from here. So like we always say when we talk about positions, if you are wanting to close bullish, you kind of always want that swing into the bottom. So early in the month, a week. So if we're going in for kind of rejection, even maybe down to, let's say like 125, then okay, start looking at positioning.
So what Keegs is talking about, you can actually check the seasonal tendency of the XY, and this is what he's referring to. August, so July usually bottoms out on the dollar index, and then August strong run, decline during September, and then October, November again. I would say from end of September you usually have a strong run on the dollar index. So that is what Keegs is referring to, the seasonal tendency of the dollar index. Alright, 3 more minutes and then we can start clicking some buttons in terms of buying and selling. GBP USD, I'm going to set some alerts closer to these Asia highs and actually closer to the round number, 695. And if we start getting some movements into those areas, pound yen is gone. I'm going to set some alerts as well, just purely due to the fact that we can retrace back into those levels, 184.70. Only from there I'll start considering some positions. I'm not going to short against this. Pound yen is an absolute beast. And then USD ZAR, as mentioned, we are bullish on the day. Had a nice little retest here on the daily pivot. However, for me, one of my entry criteria is I use the accumulation distribution indicator. It is not like the RSI, which is a relative strength indicator. It's more to show any divergence between buying pressure and selling pressure. And one of my entry criteria are that I need the AD to be above the moving 200 moving average if I'm looking long, and below if I'm looking for sells. Spreads are looking a little bit better, but I would now start looking at how we hold these Asia highs. Even if we trade back inside of the range, I've seen it quite a bit. USDs are doing something like that, then I would consider a buy. Okay, 9:15. So the XY still at the Asia lows, so I think this is going to be the pivot for the day. Gold also again up against these Asia lows, and I would honestly say if we can hold these Asia lows and get something like this, a nice strong bullish candle breaking, say, intermediate structure there, I would say that is a good buying opportunity. 80 for me though, just based on my rules, I wouldn't consider longs here. But it is holding the Asia lows, and if we can get back above 1905, we can push up. But personally not gonna consider buys. Keegan mostly trades gold, so he's quite comfortable trading it. Actually trading it both ways. Yesterday catching the sells and then catching the buys off these lows as well. So if there's somebody that can trade gold, it's Keegan, not me. Yeah, that is ultimately. I had a discussion yesterday with Mo as well. Mo wants to get into trading, and we talked about just when you talk about losses. The thing about losses is you actually, once you start understanding probabilities that you are going to lose, let's say your win rate 65%. So basically 3 or 4 trades out of every 10 trades you are going to lose. So it doesn't necessarily affect you. And also what you're talking about, the experience, understanding one market, you actually start to get in line with the ebb and flow of it. So for instance, there is a lot of discretion in being a good trader. I've got no beef against a mechanical trading system, but some of the best traders that are out there is a side of discretion in terms of saying, look, I've seen this happen before. I've seen gold tanking closer to the end of the day. I have seen it reverse, and all of that comes with discretion. So but I think for the most part, if you are a new trader, a mechanical system works a lot better due to the fact that you can actually track your data a lot better. Because if your rule set or your entry criteria changes every day, or you're taking sells against the trend, or you're taking buys against the trend, and then one day you're trading with the trend, one day you're counter trending, it's just literally going to fuck you up, to be honest. And I'm being quite frank.
I think I agree with that, especially if you're a new trader. I feel maybe that would be a little bit better. Because when you start taking risks with trading, you get too comfortable breaking the rules, and I think it just opens the door for losses that aren't necessary.
And also, to be very honest, even though I look at quite a few pairs, I mentioned I want to go to, before the end of the year or close to the end of the year, only trade one pair. For instance, like Keegan trades gold. Like, as a human being, you can actually not focus on so many pairs. So if you really dial in on one pair, for instance, like gold, there's a lot of YouTube streamers that I've seen and that I know that, for instance, only trade one pair, and they're very successful because you're also minimizing your risk. So you're only trading gold, so your stats are also going to be more in line. Your data is going to be more in line because you're only trading one pair, and you're only taking the setups that present themselves on that one pair. Where if you jump around between a lot of pairs, maybe the 1 week that you took gold trades, the market was ranging, you got stopped, and now the next week you're like, flip, now I'm going to jump over to another pair. And if you stayed with gold, that week could have been good on gold, and then it's that death loop. Then the next week you go back to gold, you get clapped, and it's just this bad continuous cycle that goes around. Ricochet, I use the seasonal charts for indices too. It's pretty spot on. Yeah, it is. It's been a while since I've looked at seasonal charts, but obviously it's backed by data. So it's that thing of what happens in the past will happen in the future again. USD ZAR on a tear. Neil van Westhuizen, what are you trading today? Give me some setups there. Neil is one of the guys that I've been working with, sharpening up his trading. DXY is trying to get back into that Asia range. Interesting. So at this stage we just wait. Jason Larkin, good morning, my friend. Neela, thanks, man. You are too kind. How's the JSE doing today? I'm still holding quite a bit of bags on the JSE. I think my JSE portfolio is down like 16%. I'm actually going to check. See how my JSE portfolio is doing. Okay, it's only down 14.8%. So I think I'm doing better than the crypto guys. What's crypto doing? So Bitcoin's literally been in this range from March. This, what is this? This is like a 20% range. Geeks, be honest that buy triggers, the trigger fingers itching. Where are you buying from this Asia low, this 1903, 1903, 1904? Ah, okay. Are you in? No, good luck. May the volume be with you. May the volume be with you. Got some ASAP Rocky for that volume. Yeah, I do think if if you get a reaction of this 104, what you could see potentially is something like this, where this is the manipulation. But otherwise, you don't want to see any rejections from this 1905 level. If it starts moving up, you actually want it to just clear through that level. Okay, something's happening now. Okay, GBP USD starting to trade back into the Asia highs. DXY trading back into the Asia ranges again. Still below the daily pivot though, so as I mentioned, this could be just your daily manipulation happening right here at the Asia lows. However, if we come back and we retest and we hold the Asia lows, then that was potentially the low of the day and the low of the session. But let's see. Gold, as Keeks mentioned, is in from 1904, and again, for the gold bugs, I would say what you want to see now is you want to see this coming back inside of the Asia range and actually take out that 1905 level. I think then it's very comfortable. Keeks 1908, I would say as a minimum, if this thing starts turning around, 1908, and then take it from there. Sorry, Keeks, you muted there. Yeah, 1907, yeah. Sheesh, alert's going off now. How's this 30-minute gonna close on gold? Let's just check this 30-minute, yeah. Still bearish. Nice. All you want to see now is this gold getting above 1905, and then it can potentially run. Nice little retest of the Asia lows, and if this next 5 minute can do something like this, I think you don't even need ASAP Rocky.
Yeah, so hopefully this can respect and make my morning ready for me.
Pound yen absolutely getting clapped from these guys. Not pound, GBP USD. But let's see. I'll even consider buys from the Asia lows around 126.76. Looking at the daily, as mentioned, bearish. Taking out yesterday's high. This is a tricky one. I always preach like follow the daily candle, and especially if you've got a wick fill. But the fact that we closed back above this area of support, that's the only thing that basically throws me off a little to say like flip. Is this potentially going to be a move back up and a tiny little break of structure here? Or are we actually going to go for that wick fill on the daily? But currently on the 5 minute, I'm still relatively bullish on it, but let's see. DXY also at the daily pivot, so going to be interesting to see what happens here. 103.13. Just did a TP on EU Javon Ferro. Just look at US 30. My goodness. Yeah, as mentioned, that could potentially be the high of the week. That could be a swing high point. Actually, at yesterday's low, we actually pipped it. Again, if you look at the 80, never got above it. Never got above the 200. So, weekly pivot, daily pivot, and there you've got your drop. But again, I don't trade indices during London, so I'll see that move happen and it won't bother me. I'm going to wait for NYSE. And then for pound USD, what I want to see is I actually want to see us hold this level right here. I want to see us create like some type of resistance, even like a little double bottom, then a break of structure like that, and then I would consider longs. Gold struggling to hold these Asia lows. DXY at the pivot. So this is the weekly pivot on Nasdaq, but I'm bearish on the week for Nasdaq. Only issue is getting through this area here. That's the only roadblock for any downside, but let's see. And we've got a 5-minute here coming into the weekly pivot. And as you can see, the 80 still barely holding above, but it is trending bullish. So while we're trading above the Asia lows on DXY, I'm going to remain bullish. As I mentioned, guys, the daily is bullish. We've got an entire daily wick fill. So I'm going to stick to that bias. And I think ideally, if we start getting above the daily pivot at 103.15, and we actually hold this, get like a nice little structure break there, can continue higher, but I am not flipping that. Gold break below Asia lows. I think for gold buyers, if you want to buy this level, you would definitely want to see something like this. complete reversal. You don't want to see any rejections from these Asia lows. If we reject Asia low, we're going lower. Okay, GU. So GU, what I'm looking for is if we close bullish on this 5 minute and we do a retest of the Asia highs and we then get a minor break of structure, I will execute longs on it to actually go and retest the session highs. This level that we've got right there. And my rule of thumb for trading majors is my stop is always 15 pips. I don't put it below structure. I know a lot of guys would say, oh, Chris, you enter here, your stop needs to be just below the structure. From my data, I've seen that a 15 pip stop is what's going to allow me to stay in the trade long enough, even through a pullback, and still get on the right side. And if price moves more than 15 pips, it's more than likely I am on the wrong side of the market. So what I want to see print here is I want to see a retest. I want to see us hold the Asia highs, and I want to see a minor structure break. If we can't do that, then obviously this shift in structure is going to continue lower, and we'll actually take out Asia lows and trade back below the daily pivot. But currently for me, that's the only setup. And gold, I might consider once we get back above 1905. I'm definitely going to consider it. And then for me, this would be the manipulation. And then we can trade higher from there. But those are the only two setups that I see: gold and GBP USD. So just patiently going to wait for the setup to print. USDs are as well. I actually just want to set an alert for us at these Asia highs. And then we can see if we can execute. USD JPY as well. So ideally on gold, if we get something like this, I'm gonna execute on it. I'll show you guys. If we get a candle closing like that, then we've broken this intermediate structure there, trading back above 105, holding the Asia lows, took out this liquidity down here. You can see we've spiked all of these lows. Then I would consider buys. And GBP USD, similar setup. I want to actually create some resistance here, come back down. This is ideally what I want to see print, and then from there then actually break structure, something like that. Then I will be very comfortable in taking buys. Unless we print something like that, I'm not gonna execute off this. We're gonna be right back, guys. Okay, team. So Keegan with his ballsy entry is already up. So as mentioned, this is what I want to see print. I want to see us get back above 1905. As mentioned, then this would be the manipulation. GBP USD just continuing higher from these Asia highs. We could still come back. I'm not going to execute off that. I want to see a retest of the Asia highs, and then I want to see a minor structure break, or at least see the retest hold. I'm not going to execute on that. Nice rejection from the daily pivot on DXY. However, I am still bullish unless we really start clearing back below 103.05. I'm not going to flip my bias on the day. I'm bullish on DXY. I'm actually going to take a squeeze on gold on the flip of this 5-minute candle. Let's see. As soon as it starts flipping, I'm going to execute. Okay guys, took a long position here on gold, and I will be targeting 1908, the Asia highs. I'm going to have my stops round about 1903, stops right about there. And ideally what I don't want to see us doing is trading back below the Asia low. I want to see us holding these Asia lows, and then from there I want to see us push up, because we've already taken Asia lows. So I now want us to take Asia highs round about 1908, and if we can do that, that would be pretty nice. So let's see what happens. 15 minutes for this hourly candle closure. And let's see if we can actually hold on the hourly.
Just gotta let you know, when you were going for our started playing some ASAP Rocky.
Let's see if that ASAP Rocky is gonna help us here. But yeah, ideally what I want to see is I actually want to see us clear this level. I don't want to see us actually reject here, because still technically the swing high level is here. So I want to see us on the 5-minute pushing through this. So actually get something like that. Then I'll be very comfortable with this trade. Also DXY currently at the Asia lows, so very tricky situation we are in. But let's see. This is the trade I'm in. Took a gold buy basically from the 1905 level, and let's see if we can get a push. The only thing is we're so close to the end of this hourly. There's 13 minutes left, so The question is, how deep is that pullback going to be on the hourly candle? That's my only concern. If you look at the hourly, firstly, we need to close bullish. And then secondly, how deep are we going to pull back on this hourly before pushing up? But let's see, we're still holding above 195. Even if we close weak bearish like this, I would want to see us break the highs. Otherwise, as mentioned, the order flow is still quite bearish. I would only be comfortable once we clear this level right here. And then I think we can start propelling to the upside. No bottom wick on that 5. They've created a bottom wick. So two things can happen with that candle closure there. We can either spike up and get a push from this 195, or we're going to reject and actually come and take out these lows. So 10 minutes before this hourly closes, and I'll see in the next 5 minutes before the hourly closes, if we have not started pushing up from these lows, I'm going to close my position very close to break even. And then I'll wait for the hourly to create a bottom wick, because highly likely what will happen then is on the hourly, if it is going to push bullish, it would come back to retest these Asia lows. We'll get some resistance being formed here, and we can re-execute the buys on a break of structure. The question is, how far can we push on the last 10 minutes of this hourly candle? That is the only question. Justin Vessels looks good. Yeah, it's actually against my daily bias though, but Keegan forced me into taking this trade. And he's quite a big, strong boy. But let's see. I'm here for moral support in terms of gold. I don't trade gold much, but let's see if we can swindle a win here. The signal was sent, guys. It's a buy. It's a buy. It's a buy, guys.
I'm sitting comfortable now because mine's actually at 1 hour now already, so I've just set stop loss to break even and see what happens.
Yeah, I don't like this closure, to be honest, but I'll see. If this 5-minute candle closes below the Asia lows, I'll chalk the idea, but there's still potential. Yeah. And here's my issue. The hourly, even though we've got that bottom wick, it's still closing bearish. That is my only concern. I would have liked for a bullish closure, but we've got 5 minutes left. Let's see. What did we do yesterday? Yesterday we also, yeah, so it was the Asia highs. So yesterday, Asia high, we took out the Asia high, traded back below, and then we had the failure there. Also around about, what was that? Okay, there was only 12:30. Quite a rangy session, but let's see. I've also seen where I've closed it here, like early, before the hourly closes, and that thing literally runs.
I think that's happened when I'm seeing us before.
Signal was sent, guys. It's a buy. You know what, bro? I'm actually gonna close this out at break even. I've closed it out here. It's way too close for me to the end of this hourly candle, and if you look at the 4 hour, okay, we still have an hour left on the 4 hour. This hourly candle is struggling to close bullish, and what I'll do is, and also like you mentioned, it's ranging here. So the ideal situation now is we get a retest of this Asia lows. We can even trade a little bit lower. That will be the pullback on the hourly candle, and then what we'll have is we'll actually get a similar setup to what we've got here, and a setup I like a lot more, a nice little break of structure like this. So something like this, nice little break of structure, and then I'll look for re-entries. It's just way too close to this hourly closing, and we don't know how deep the pullback is going to be. And I've seen hourly candles close, create no bottom we can push up, and that's fine. There's absolutely, then I miss it, but just in terms of managing the trade. So break even on gold. USDs are absolutely on a tear. My goodness. And again, guys, so GBP USD trade back here. Want to see some sort of support form there, either with a bullish engulfing or even a minor little structure there, and then a break to the upside. And then I would consider long positions. 80 is still bullish. Just want to show you guys there. So the 80 is still trading above the 200. I should actually change the color of that maybe to white. I don't know if that's going to be visually better. Guys, the signal was sent, break even. Thank you guys for joining. Please like and subscribe, as it will help the channel grow. Really appreciate you guys joining. Only our third day on a stream. Obviously it's going to be a grind getting the viewers, but I think with consistency and providing value every day, it will grow. And ultimately that's what we want to do, is provide value and not have any gatekeeping in terms of how we trade, what we do. We don't sell anything other than we sell likes for the stream. So if you can like the stream, that is what we sell. It's free 99, and that is the only thing we sell, guys. And then especially for the PE guys, we've got a lot of stuff planned for the rest of the year and obviously for next year, but quite excited about just building the trading community here in Port Elizabeth. So stay tuned. Okay, the hourly candle closed. As mentioned, I don't know how deep this hourly pullback is going to be. So again, closing bearish. Obviously, we can see the deceleration. This thing can pump down. It can break the lows. That's fine. But in terms of what I want to see is if we've created this resistance here, and if we can now break that structure after holding the Asia lows, then I would consider this a very clean buying opportunity. Other than that, if we fail to hold Asia lows, and as I mentioned, DXY, I'm still bullish on. We held Asia lows on DXY, and we're actually now pushing above. Then what this is actually a failure to hold the Asia range, and we will go lower. But I still like the buys if we can trade back above 1905. Otherwise this thing is chalked and it's going to go down.
Yeah, I also basically closed on just about break even. I just thought, this is looking too promising right now.
Do you take anything off or not?
I don't know. This is like a quick cut thing, like I said, just closed on just about, so it closed on like $100.
Oh, but you don't take partials or anything? The guys in the chat, feel free to ask any questions. Feel free to send a chart if you want us to have a look at a chart. That is what we are here for. This hourly's got no bottom wick though, geeks. No top wick. So very high probability if we flip bullish.
Well, what I'm personally looking at now, my best opportunity would be if it does an equal low to yesterday.
Are you checking yesterday's low? 1902. The only thing is it's so close to that 1900 level that I can almost see if it goes that low today, like it can literally do like a cascading move all the way down there.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's why I say, like, we talk about, you can't just, I mean, in the past when I like still got into trading early days, it was always like, this was my area, I entered and that was it. Where I think people need to understand when you're looking at something, you're looking at a zone. So that's where then that whole technical confirmation, because a trade can go in the zone, it can go past the zone, it can, just the whole idea of the trading and flip can happen anywhere in that whole area.
Gigs, one of the guys in the chat asked, do you think we will see 18.95? So basically $5 below that round number, 1900.
It's not impossible considering, I mean, Chris and I just spoke about this earlier, that, I mean, we did get that dirty retest in June where we hit 1893. So I wouldn't say it is impossible to hit 1895. But personally, I think it's more, honestly, this time around, that was a news event that a lot
Yeah.
happened, where this time, I do believe gold falls under that 1900, it's just going to be, it's just going to slide down from there.
Rika, I don't trade US indices during London purely based off the fact that it is US indices. So you need to consider that during the London session, you actually have all of these European indices like the DAX, the FTSE, the CAC, all of that being traded. So obviously that's where the majority of the volume is going to be. These last 2 days, we've actually had decent volume on the indices during London session, but however, it's not something that I come out to do and trade, because if you go back and look on prior sessions, there's very little happening actually during the London session. And also the London session is usually the opposite end of the actual trend. So if let's say, for instance, I'm expecting price to push bullish, a lot of times what will happen on the US indices is that it will first do a bearish move, and then closer to NYSE we'll start seeing the bullish push. So it's just purely something that I've seen and that I've picked up, and obviously we need to consider volume. So I want to trade when the volume is at its best. So yeah, I was saying we'll sort out Keegan's mic. We don't really get any chance to test the setup with the Zoom. So after the stream, we'll actually sort him out. That we've got a condenser mic that we're gonna hook Keegan up with. So I would say from tomorrow the audio will be sorted. But we'll get it done. Yeah, Rika, I honestly feel like for the most part you want to trade during a high volume period so that you don't sit in trades and basically get chopped around. So that's why I only take trades from London open up until about 11. A lot of times if we're stuck in like a range, I'll maybe extend my trading time to like 12 o'clock, stay like an hour later. But for the most part, if I haven't taken a trade by 11, very, very likely I'm not trading for the rest of the London session, and then I'll come back for New York. So that is also one of the things that I've picked up over the years, is trying to trade every single minute, hour of the day. So what we need to understand is that London will create a move, and then what will happen is between 12 and 3:30, like that 3-hour period, you'll have the pullback, and then very likely you will see New York continue with what London was doing to either retest the daily highs and fail, or to actually retest the daily highs and then continue up. And if you really think about it, how do reversals happen? Reversals happen either at like a daily high level, where a lot of guys would say, okay, that's the liquidity, you spike the highs, and then you actually reverse lower. But all it really is the move that you could have caught was the continuation, and where you need to monitor your trade is once you get to your session highs or your daily highs, because that's where a lot of volume is going to occur. Session highs, session lows, daily highs, daily lows. So you'll hear me talk a lot about, if I get into a trade, about the session highs, because that is an area where we can potentially reject. Asia highs and lows, obviously that is a massive anchor point in trading, because that is also where the manipulation occurs during your trading session, and that is also where moves can start occurring from. Guys, I'm actually going to take a little squeeze here on GBP USD. I'm going to take a long from these Asia highs. Let's see how it rolls. Just going to take actually on the close of that candle. Nice little engulfing candle, 15 pips stop, and I'm going to target the session highs. It's about a 16 pip move, stops off 15 pips. Let's see if we can retest the session highs. Another thing, we need to get above the round number 12700. If we can't get above that number right there, if we fail here, I would close the trade for a few pips in profit. But I am still bullish on this pair for the session, and we are holding Asia highs. DXY failing again at the daily pivot, so let's see whether we can push up to retest the session highs. That is a trade that I'm in. Let's see how it goes. Gold holding Asia lows. As mentioned, another opportunity can present itself if we get something like this. Bullish closures above there, and then you can look for potential continuations from these lows. I think the hourly also created a tiny little top wick, but let's see. This trade is purely based off the idea that we created a pre-London high. We retraced back to Asia highs. We held it once, we held it twice, and then from our entry model, we've got this bullish engulfing candle right here, and we could potentially trade higher or we could trade lower, but this is worth a shot Daily time frame, however, I am still bearish, but again, like I mentioned, what makes it quite tricky is that we already took out Friday's low and then closed all the way back up here. So still a very high probability we come and fill this daily wick to the downside, because the weekly is also bearish if you look at the weekly. However, we've already technically reached the weekly target. That was my weekly target, to retest that prior area of resistance, now support. But let's see. And again, I want us to get above this 12700. If we can't get above it, I'm closing out the trade. Just another little gem for you guys. Round numbers in trading and half round numbers are quite key. So like 12700, 12750, 12800, all of these round numbers are significant. And with gold, exactly the same. 1905, 1900, 1910. These are the grids that price will move in between. So that is why I consider it key to monitor these levels. How did the 15 close? Let's quickly check at this 15-minute closure on GBP USD. Nice little support. Let's see if we can get a push up. $43 minutes for this 4-hourly candle to close as well. Created a top wick, pulled all the way back. Actually just an ugly 4-hour range. This 5-minute, I want to see us hold these Asia highs. If not, I'm closing out this trade. DXY going for that break above the pivot. Either going to top out here and trade lower up until news this afternoon. We've got retail sales data coming out. But let's see, this 5 minutes still holding. I would have ideally wanted to see us push up and actually break that structure up there. But let's see, we are still holding the Asia highs. It is still looking half decent. So what I want to see now, guys, is 12700. We need to get through that level. Any signs of rejections at 12700, and I will be closing out this trade, because if there is enough volume, we'll get through 12700. If not, closing out. So I want us to actually push through and actually break structure to the upside. I think 15 minutes actually broke. Yeah, we already broke 15-minute hours, but let's see. Gold actually going to set an alert here at 1905. Go 3 minutes. Let's see. We still need to hold these Asia highs. Otherwise, I'm chalking that idea to retest the session highs. But three minutes. Because here's my thing, if DXY is going to break the structure here above the daily pivot, then as mentioned, this was the fake out, spiking Asia lows, trading back above the pivot, and then we'll actually see gold coming all the way down. We will see GBP USD coming all the way down. DXY is obviously highly correlated with Euro USD. Euro USD has got the most weight in terms of the DXY, and then you'll actually see Euro USD coming down as well. But the thing is, Euro USD is trading above the daily pivot, where DXY is at the daily pivot. So if we are going to reject from this daily pivot, then we should start moving lower. Otherwise, this is going to come down lower, break structure lower, and then this was the fake out, spiking Asia highs to then trade lower. And then even later on in the session, you'll see us trading below Asia lows, below the daily pivot. And then for NYSE, your context will be trading from the Asia lows. But 1 minute left. Let's see if we can hold Asia highs. I honestly don't like the way that this 5 is printing, basically engulfing almost 15 minutes worth of price action. So I want to see us hold Asia highs. If not, I am closing this trade out for a 3 pip loss. "20 seconds." What are we doing? Are we holding Asia highs? Ten seconds. Still holding Asia highs, guys. I'm still giving this trade some room to breathe. It is not looking good though, to be honest, unless we form a bottom wick, retest the Asia highs again, and then actually break structure to the upside, something like this. Other than that, it is not looking good. Also, what I would need to see on DXY is actually just doing something like this, starting to break structure to the downside. Then I'll be comfortable, but let's see. Keeks Gold is holding this level, this 1903, 1904 level.
I'm watching it. It's interesting, but it's like I was mentioning. I feel like this is at last stand for gold, so it's got to get everything. Bulls have to kind of come to the party now, because I feel if they don't,
they're gonna flush it. Yeah. Signal was sent. Your retail sales is a red folder, so it could be that we range here up until this afternoon.
But I think just as I think you mentioned it when we were saying, like the small moves allow for the big moves.
Yeah, the way it's ranging now, very likely later on, if it's going to push bullish, you'll see something like this, where it's going to range, and then all of a sudden you're going to get this massive bullish candle, and it's going to drive. I've seen it so many times, and it can go the other way as well. But I'm still leaning to the bullish side, because my AD as well, it's starting to trade above the 200. So even though it's making lower lows here, it's basically diverging with what the AD is showing me. So if you check at the AD and you check at price, this is almost like a divergence you can see on price. So that's why I'm still on alert. I've got my alert set at 1905. If we get a break above there, I'm definitely going to take a squeeze on it. And also DXY failing to trade above this daily pivot. But I think if this daily pivot is going to break on DXY, this thing's going to pump. If we get something like this. Yesterday, how did we trade yesterday? Yesterday also we had, yesterday we just straight pumped from 1030. So again, what I mentioned, guys, so this was the manipulation yesterday, taking out the Asia lows and then trading around about 1 o'clock, started trading back above the Asia lows, and then it was just literally a straight pump from there. So we could have the same, where you'll see we've taken out, let me just show you guys here, we took out Asia lows during London, then we had this consolidation range, and this lasted almost 2 hours, and then once it broke out of that consolidation range, we started moving higher. And if you look at today's price action, very, very similar situation we've got here. Took out the Asia lows, we had a reversal, and now we're consolidating. So this can go on up until 1 o'clock, and then we get the breakout to the upside. GBP USD closed bearish again, still just holding above it. On this current 15-minute candle, let me just check out the 30-minute closed. 30-minute closed weak bearish. I don't like this because this could potentially be a little swing high formation to come and take out these lows. If you look at this right here, for the SMC guys, there's a lot of trend line liquidity there. So I'm going to give it 5 more minutes. This current 5-minute candle has got no top wick. If we create a top wick and we start driving up, that is fine. If we do not close above it, I'm going to close this out wherever it is, 3 pips, 4 pips, 5 pips, however many pips. One of my rules as well is if I enter and price ranges, then get out. But let's see, maybe we even need stops before we get the chance to exit the trade. So 3 more minutes. If I don't see a move up from here, I'm chalking the idea and I am calling it a session. But I still like the gold buys. I still like the GU buys. Only thing is we need to start pushing up, and also we've got this round number at 12700 that we need to get through. And we've got the 4-hour closing in 30 minutes. I think Keegan just phoned the liquidity providers, so they are going to add some gold buys for us. Guys, don't stress. Did you phone the Joburg traders, or are they providing the liquidity here for us, or is it the Cape Town traders? Well, let's see. Like I mentioned, if this 5-minute, the current 5-minute was going to close bearish, it can still close bearish. But I want to see it start driving. It's literally the last 28 minutes before the 4-hourly candle closes, so I want to see us move. "26 minutes for this 4-hourly. Ideally I want to be out before then.
I am interested, just out of a bit of gathering some data, to see this gold 4-hour close bearish here. So let's see if the following candle goes bullish.
Yeah, that is something we should actually start backtesting. Even just making a note, I'll go and backtest it as well for like the last quarter. Seeing how many times in the last quarter, if it closed bearish, the 7 o'clock 4-hour, how many times in the next 4-hour it was bullish. But as mentioned, guys, there is divergence here on gold, and I think once we back above 1905, we could see a move.
I mean, it's getting close to that 1905 again, so it's definitely like a hit move, but they have to come to the party now. It's kind of do or die at this point.
Guys, I'm closing this trade right here. Minus 1.6 pips. This thing can still move. However, I don't like how it is ranging, because it can still go either way right here. After we already had this one test, second test, now a third test. I don't like that. I would have liked for this candle right here to actually push up, break the structure. And as you can see, the range is narrowing. So I don't trade pennants, but I understand what happens during a narrowing range. So you'll see that we've at this bigger range high, range low, and price is literally sitting more or less in the equilibrium of it. And as this starts to squeeze, it's going to give you a breakout either way. But for me, just purely based off my rules, if I enter a trade and we actually held that trade almost 25 minutes, I get out. So minus 2 pips or minus 1.6, whatever it is, you can almost call it a break-even trade, but I'm not willing to hold that. I'll potentially relook at entries at 12700, but also how far we are into the session, not ideal. The trade is technically still valid. It's still holding the Asia highs. Moving averages are still bullish. The 80 is still trading above the 200. Everything still looks good, but just purely based on the fact that we're ranging there, I don't like it. And also DXY ranging around the daily pivot. I would have want price to move from here, but if you're still in, good luck. I don't know, the Joburg guys are quite flat. They only gave us a little bit of volume. I think if it was the Cape Town guys who would have hit TP by now.
African times.
But the idea was there.
Volume there, they came to the party, I told you.
Yeah, there's only two things that there's actually not two. There's only one situation where I would close out a trade early, and that is if price is ranging. There's gold. There's that move. GBP USD. Market maker actually just waited for me to close out my trade. So what you'll see on the next 5 is something like this. So when I close out a trade, you should be adding another position. It's pretty rangy, guys. I'm not gonna lie. If we get something like this and you're still in the gold buys, We don't give liquidity from Cape Town. Hussein. I thought that's where all the big traders are at, Cape Town. Scam City.
I think you're forgetting it. We've got some billionaires here in PE.
Would you say Cape Town's got more scammers or Joburg? We're actually forgetting about KZN. KZN flies under the radar for the scams, but I would say Cape Town definitely for me would be in the lead in terms of scammers.
Would probably say Cape.
Is John Gutty from Joburg? I see somebody in the chat, Jason Larkin, posting John Gutty. But listen here, we have to give it to John. He's got some very, very catchy phrases, and I think the best one for me was during COVID when they were sanitizing poverty. When somebody sent me a clip of that man sanitizing poverty, I almost fell off my chair. Yes, dude. Oaks sanitizing poverty. KZN has Nas Boys. I've never even heard of Nas Boys. AKA Crash Boys. Crashing cars or crashing accounts? Alright guys, so there it goes. Like I mentioned, as it was squeezing, it can break out either way. If you are still in the trade, it's running about 10 pips, broke through that 12700. I would say the likely area to monitor the trade would be at the session highs. If you entered with the criteria I gave, 15 pip stop, I go for 1-to-1. I close out 90%, leave a runner. So if I was still in this, once I hit 15 pips, I take off 90% of my trade. I move it to break even, and I leave the runner to go to R1. So I use my entire strategy as based off pivots. You'll still see how I trade. Our accounts, their accounts are banging. Signal was sent, Kablowi. But yeah, so my rule of thumb, I'll still share a bit about that, but myself and Keegan chatted about it as well. Like a lot of guys trying to hit home runs, but I have seen so many times just taking 90% at a 1-to-1 and then leaving a 10% runner. And the runner is not going to make you rich. Let me just get that straight. The runner is purely there to deal with the FOMO. So you're still part of the trade. You're still in that trade. And you can see it move. And also just for data collection. Because now if you have a 10% runner and after, let's say, 6 months, you see that 90% of your runners got stopped out at break even, but you took 90% at 1-to-1, then you would see like how many break even trades would you have got. But the 1-to-1 is what's ticking over. You're just chipping away every single day. It is something that you can do consistently. There's no FOMO because you still have a runner on the table. You don't have the case of break evens getting hit consistently. And it's just something that works. So that is just what I do. I don't suggest you do what I do, but I'm just giving you an idea as to how you can potentially manage your trades. And Keegan as well. Keegan's been chipping 1-to-1s for like the last week, 2 weeks, and the thing is your account keeps ticking over. That 1-to-1 basically gives you additional risk for you to enter another trade, say later in the session or later in the week. So in Cape Town, scammers move to the Middle East. Hussein, it's actually crazy that I know exactly who you're talking about, but I don't want to make this stream about scammers. We just want to add value and ultimately just be good citizens helping other people out. But I know exactly what you talk about, and if you are a scammer, I honestly hope nothing but the best for you. But yeah, guys, be vigilant. There is so much cuck going out there, and there's so much marketing tactics and stuff going on, so just be diligent. Be critical in your thinking, in your trading. DXY breaking the lows right there. GU, if you're still holding, take off 90%, leave your runner. You can set your runner targets to, I would say, 1725. Enjoy it. Leave a like, leave a subscribe, and Josh Naidu, we'll still get Josh on here. Next book to read, Chris. Hussein, I actually have quite a few books that I haven't gotten around to reading. I'm actually busy with Untethered Soul from Jason Larkin. Not Jason. We've got Jason Larkin in the chat, but we've got Jason Larkin. That is a book that I'm busy reading. Then I also bought 2 books from Tony Robbins, and also, weirdly enough, I've never read Rich Dad Poor Dad of Robert Kiyosaki, so it's just something I've seen so many entrepreneurs suggest, and I've never read it. Somebody told me like a lot of the principles I know already in business, I'll already know, but Untethered Soul, this guy was interviewed on it's Michael Allen Singer. I was talking shit. It's Michael Allen Singer. He was on one of Tony's podcasts, and the thing about the Untethered Soul, what it's really about is, it is basically understanding that you cannot control everything in your life, and basically having that ability to let go. So control the variables that you can control, and the stuff that you cannot control, don't let it bother you. And I think a lot of times, even in trading, we want to control everything, and ultimately the only thing we can really control is our risk and how we manage a trade. The rest is not up to us. And if you manage your risk and if you manage your trade well, then you've controlled what you can. And even if the market goes against you, we actually had a chat about it yesterday, where if a trade goes against you and you followed your rules and you lost, that is fine. That is a good loss. You stuck to your rules. You can't control the outcome. No strategy is 100%. But if you broke your rules and you took a loss, that is a bad loss. So you get a good loss and a bad loss. And similar with wins, you get a bad win and you get a good win. If I'm trading against my rules and I get a win, that basically reinforces bad habits. And now you're thinking, I didn't follow my rules last week or yesterday, I'm going to try it again. And you take a loss, and then you're like, oh, why did I take the loss? Then there's an answer for it. You didn't follow your rules. But ultimately, that's the only thing you need to do is control what you can, and the rest is up to the market. Anyways, guys, very average session for me. We've got that break even on gold. GBP USD also relatively minus 2 pips, minus 1.7. I didn't feel like holding it, even though it was still valid. It was holding the Asian session highs. I've just seen it too many times where we squeeze like this and it breaks to the other side. This time around it broke to the upside. Like I mentioned, pushed almost 20 pips at 15. I would have taken off 90%. Next area of contention is the session highs. What you want to see is obviously break above the session highs, holding it, and then continuing up. I would say ultimately run at targets at 127.30. That's going to give you more or less 36 pips, so call it 10% of that. So it's like additional 4 pips on your full size. If you took, for instance, a 1 lot, so technically your entire trade becomes a 20 pip trade with your runner. JP Lourens, ek love die feit dat jou weekliks gesien het vir die laaste 4 of 5 jaar, maar nooit geweet het jy krap rond in die markte nie. JP, waar het ek jou gesien? JP Lourens. Ek is baie sleg met name, so JP Lourens, Vaporite. JP, hectic. JP with the blonde hair.
Yeah.
Is he from Vaporite?
Blonde hair, beard.
Oh yeah.
Next to Seattle.
JP, I have to give it to you. I saw your clip on Instagram of the Jesse cut your hair. Very smooth. JP's got quite a majestic mane, eh? I'm not gonna lie. Is it JP with the Miata? Ja, JP, ek krap al lank in die markte. Daar was 'n ander ou wat daar gewerk het wat actually altyd met my gechat het oor trading, maar ja, ek gaan my naam verander. Yeah, JP, no. I've actually been trading for almost 8 years. I would say I've been full-time for 7. And yeah. Actually, we're starting a YouTube series. Our marketing guy in the office, we're going to start teaching him how to trade. And I think it's going to be quite relatable to people starting out. I don't want to really put a timeline to it, say from green to profitable in 3 months. Don't want to pressure him. But there's a lot of content we're going to put out on his journey as well, Mo. So, Justin Wessels. Is Justin Caitlin, is Justin Wessels the guy that was here? Justin, lekker man. Lekker stukkie trade, ou. Yeah, guys, that's it. I think it played out relatively well. Gold obviously still ranging. DXY, I think the telltale sign was the failure here at the daily pivot level. Couldn't get above that. Was I ever thinking that we could potentially get above there? That's also why I closed out my GU longs. But gold, I wouldn't touch now up until the news. And GBP USD played out quite nicely. Again, I will share a little bit more around my strategy. It's very simple. I think it's very easy, but you guys will see it on the streams as I take trades live, win or lose. I'm not going to sell you anything. And that is it, guys. Keegs, any closing remarks? Anything that you want to share?
I think we covered basically everything for now. That's actually for example with gold, I think a good thing is almost just learn to stick to your guns and stick to your at the end of the day. Like for example, we were in those longs earlier, got hosted out at break even, and a lot of people might go and say, oh well now the market's turning, it's going to be bearish. Like still stick to your guns. If you want to go long, but just again wait for the right time before you play. But stick to your risk analysis.
Yeah, 100% agree. One of the things I always teach as well is that if you get a daily bias, stick to it. Don't flip your bias up and down. You're already taking one side of the coin away in terms of probabilities. So if you go into the day and you are bullish, stay bullish. Especially if you're new to trading, there are ways to identify whether we are going to continue bearish, and there's also some, let's call it subjectivity in that, but stick to your guns. If you're long, if you're looking for long opportunities, stick to that. If you're wrong today, it's fine. Go on to the next day. Very high probability you'll maybe be right 3 out of 5 times in a week. And you can work with that, but flipping up and down, oh I'm buying, I'm selling, I agree with Keegan there. Very good remark, guys, appreciate it. First time that we've actually hit double digits on the stream, only 3 days into the stream. Really appreciate the support. Yeah, we obviously here to share some value with you guys. We're not gonna ever sell anything to you. We might sell merch, Keegs, but we won't sell signals. JP, maybe pop into the office. I actually need some liquid. I am quite low. Actually get a sponsor from VapeRite. Chat to the boss man there and tell him I'll stream with a VapeRite hoodie. Let's do an endorsement deal. 15 viewers. Maybe I need to pay in to get the hoodie. Anyways, Justin, JP, thanks guys. Everyone, Jason is saying we will see you guys tomorrow. Trade safe, and we will see you guys on the flip side.